Good evening. Well, it's your nutritionist, Viola Holmes. I am a registered dietitian and a certified diabetes care and education specialist, and I'm happy to be here with you this evening. So, this month, we're going to be focusing on some holiday eating and strategies just to maintain health over the holidays. We all know that, there's a lot of different foods around typically, and we'll be celebrating hopefully with loved ones or with those close to us or special to us. And so, it's a time of the year we know what's coming down the pike, right? And as that saying goes, failing to plan is planning to fail. So I really want to encourage you to go into the holidays with a plan to maintain your health, not to derail any progress you may have made this year, or not to let your hopefully weight won't go up too much, or if you have things like hypertension or diabetes, everything will stay in check. So again, the goal this time of year is always to maintain. And so you really have to be ready for that. And the thing is, we all kind of know what's getting ready to happen. Maybe those foods or those places or those things that'll happen over the holidays. And sometimes it's a bit of a slippery slope, or, they're tricky traps. So we really want to do some planning ahead of time so that you can do some problem solving and come up with some strategies this time around so that, your outcome can be different. And in January, you won't have to be one of the millions of people who are going to go to the gym for maybe 2 weeks and then stop. So we want to think about, the plan that you can come up with. And so, first of all, what is the goal? What are you and the goal should be that the holiday, we want to enjoy ourselves. I think that it's been a difficult year with so many stressors in life and COVID things and, just loneliness for a lot of us. And so we're really happy to see other people and a lot of loss. So we want to enjoy. But what I want you to remember is just that the holiday is, a day, or it's 2 days, it's Christmas Eve and it's Christmas. But what tends to happen to all of us is that we let that holiday, we just continue that holiday eating and those maybe treats and eating the way we normally wouldn't. We continue it for a couple of weeks. Even, it started back with Halloween for a lot of people. So from Halloween, we drift through to Thanksgiving, and now here we are a few weeks away from Christmas. So I encourage you, though, don't spend all of the weeks eating unhealthy, but allow yourself the 1 or 2 days and then get back on track with it. So indulge and have a nice time on the day of, but, think about, what you're going to have, where you're going to eat or what's going to be available. So think about, what it is you really want to have. What do you want to enjoy? And what are some of those things that maybe you can forego this time around? Because there's certain foods that may be common all the time. So maybe skip those items and enjoy those holiday things. And particularly, if you have diabetes, you want to be careful of how much carbohydrate that you're eating. And I know, watching carbohydrate is an eating plan that a lot of people follow now just for general health and for weight loss. And there tends to be, a lot of carbohydrates around at the holiday. So, stick to your plan of enjoy the holiday day, enjoy Christmas Day, or maybe a little bit Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. But then, refrain from the constant nibbles and large portion sizes. So think about what's going to be available for you. What are some items you can maybe do without? And what are the things that you really want to have? And then activity is really important as well. If you're going to eat more, indulge more, then think about ways that you can be active. And I'm not saying go out and go to the gym, or if you've not been engaged in regular exercise, it doesn't have to be exercise, but activity, getting up and moving more, even if it's in your house, up and down the stairs or going around your neighborhood. And I know it's cold, but, wrap up, or can you go to the mall and and do a little walking or any kind of activities, even from your chair. If you enjoy movies, and movement is just not as much movement, you're off from work, you're going to enjoy your vacation, just kind of watching movies, get up and move more during those commercial breaks, or have that set of dumbbells by your chair so that you can be more active. Because it's really twofold. If you're going to, and if you're going to eat more, then why not think about a way to be active? Can you go out maybe to a museum with some family or friends over part of the holiday, or just incorporating, small amounts along the way will be so helpful. If you're taking in an extra 200 or 300 calories per meal and a small walk, you can burn, 100 of those calories just by getting up and doing that movement. So think about how you can balance those extra calories with a little bit more activity. Parking, those things like parking farther away, the parking lot. Again, I know it's cold, but wrap up gloves, scarves, and have all those articles of clothing with you. And what about, a lot of times people save up. They say, oh, I'm not going to eat anything all day until I get to, my cousin's house or get to wherever it is you're going. So you kind of save up so that you can really, eat and indulge in everything. But that's not really what we recommend. We recommend that you stick to a fairly regular type of eating plan. We don't want you skipping breakfast and skipping lunch, and waiting until 4 o'clock to eat, because we all know it's going to happen then. And you don't have to be starving to enjoy the food at that meal or at those special meals. So have something light that morning, or light during the day, small snacks if you choose to. Some fruit and nuts could be that item before you go. But we really want you to get some fiber and as well as fluid kind of throughout before that meal, the big meals, so that you can eat less. So when I say fiber, again, things like fresh fruit or even canned fruit, without the added sugars. Could be some raw veggies, even some type of broth-based soup with some veggies in it could give you that fluid as well as some fiber. And the fluids, to fill up on those fluids before that big meal, it's non-calorie kinds of beverages. So like water or a diet beverage, or, unsweetened tea or some coffee. So have that fluid and that fiber so that you won't overdo it. Particularly too, if you have diabetes or watching blood sugars, things like that, if you skip meals all day and then you have this one really big large meal, I deserve it because I haven't eaten anything all day. That's still going to put your blood sugar on a roller coaster, because you're going to be down. And even when you don't have diabetes, when you go for a long period without eating, your energy level goes down and you're just not feeling at your best. And then you consume a large amount of calories and you get that quick high up, and then you come down and you're on this roller coaster feeling stuffed, and you're sitting there not very comfortable, and you're not burning calories because of how you feel from this kind of roller coaster of nothing to eat and then a whole lot. And it just kind of sets your body, it triggers your body to continue doing that. So try to break that cycle if you have a tendency to kind of save up for those meals and the special times. Have something small and light, a little salad or whatever it is that's going to work for you, that's quick and easy. Could be some type of granola bar, again, a few nuts. What works for you? Again, this is about you having your plan in place. So what about and then the food stays out, right? And it's so tempting to continue going back to the table for more and more and more. So what can that plan be before you get there? I'm going to wait. I'm going to have my one plate of food at the meal time. And then after that, if I go back for something else, it's going to be, only veggies. Or I'm going to, at first, I'm not going to graze on any foods, like the appetizers, if you have things like that, but you're just going to wait. And also that buffet, you tend to just keep going back and putting little bits in. So have that plate, sit down with it, and then Go play some games or, enjoy the people, enjoy the company of the people around you. Um, and what about, what's your contribution, or what's your role in the meal for the holidays? Are you preparing? Are you the primary preparer? Are you bringing anything, or do you just have to show up? And think about your role and how you can really make that work for you. Particularly, if you're not, the primary person, but you're taking a dish this year. Can you take something that's a little bit lighter or something that you've modified? The key that I've found is that if I do modify something, is I don't really tell people. Like if I want to modify those sweet potatoes that everybody loves, I don't have to tell them that I use skim milk instead of whole milk, because they really can't taste the difference. So I'm not suggesting that you change absolutely everything about a recipe. Change the milk, don't use butter, use oil, or um, you know, use yogurt instead of sour cream. I'm not suggesting that at all, but just some small tweaks. Do you really have to use as much butter to prepare the food? Can you use for, if you're fixing vegetables, greens or green beans or something, can you use smoked turkey instead of ham? Can you use, or the fat back, or can you, if you're going to use pork, can you use a leaner type of ham, or can you try to not season with meat this time? Like or, use less. What are some of those, just again, small tweaks that you can use? A lot of times recipes call for more, sugar than you actually need to have in it. You can skip having one of the egg yolks sometimes. So you have to really be creative and think about the little things along the way. So if you're bringing a dish, can you bring your dishes that are modified? Or if you're, the main host, there are, small things that maybe you can do. And I know tradition and culture is really important. So again, I'm not suggesting that you change everything on everybody, but and then too, I think, as families, it's time for us to start talking about our health. There's with COVID and so much loss now, we want to maintain our health as much as possible. So it, it's good to get one another's support throughout these times. And so if you're going to change things up, have that conversation. Be open about that. I think it's going to help everybody in the family typically, because it's genetic. Our hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, kidney disease, these things tend to run in families. And so doing things to manage the chronic condition, if you have it, or preventing, it's really the same kinds of things. So again, want you to enjoy the holidays, but be mindful. And it may just be time for change for everybody. So bring up those, what can be difficult conversations sometimes about strategies for doing things different for health. So small modifications can work. I've talked a little bit about portion control and using your plate as your guide. A great strategy is the healthy plate, and you imagine a line down the middle of your plate, and on half of your plate you want to go for non-starchy vegetables, like picking the greens, the broccolis or carrots or green beans or salad. Starchy vegetables are peas, corn, and potatoes, and also things like macaroni and rice are starchy. So how can you fill your plate with the vegetable things first? Often we think about the starches and the meats, the proteins first, but so add lots of veggies first, some protein, and the starch or two that you really want to make sure that you have. So you can really use that plate to guide you and to allow you to have different foods, but in the right size portions. And then, even the pace that we eat can make a difference. Like slow down, savor the food, enjoy it. Sometimes we're laughing and having so much fun. I mean, the foods get to us, and we're just kind of almost mindlessly eating. It's good, and you just keep on, and you're talking, and you're enjoying. So how can you slow down with eating? Take a fork, we always say, put the fork down and chew well, and think about how it tastes and the texture and all of those qualities of the food while you're having it so that you can really enjoy it. Because again, sometimes we just are so caught up in everything and we're really enjoying and we're going fast, and have the fluid, the water kind of during the meal as well to help with filling up. And savor, again, savor just the colors of everything that you have and all of the different foods. And then, a trick that some people use after they've eaten the meal, if they want to try to calm the kind of going back for more, is to put some gum in your mouth. So get some sugar-free gum through the meal, chew on the gum so that it cleanses your palate so that you don't still have that savory, mac and cheese taste on your tongue, or you don't still taste that biscuit, you kind of get rid of it so that you can forget. And then, put the gum in and then go play some games and get away from the kitchen or from the food table. Let's see, I'm just kind of looking at my list here. I've covered a lot of things pretty quickly here, it looks like. So I'm going to kind of recap some of the things I've said. Enjoy your holiday meal, but make sure it's just a meal or two and it's not for 2 weeks. Enjoy and then get back on a reasonable plan for this time of year. If you're going to have a lot of leftovers of some higher calorie foods around that you typically don't have, can you share them with other people, or can you freeze some of them so that you don't have so much accessible after that day when everybody has gone home? So enjoy the day, but then have a strategy for leftovers or for the other days of the holiday. Plan ahead, go to the event or go into that day with your plan in place. What are you going to enjoy? What can you say, I'll have that next time, maybe I'm not going to eat that tonight. And plan how you can be more active, just incorporating it into your day. Don't save up for, just the Christmas Day meal, but eat small amounts that morning and that day. Don't skip because you're going to overdo it and feel really bad, and you're going to put your body on a roller coaster. Modify, if you're taking something or if you're in charge of doing some cooking, modify your recipes, just slight tweaks, less butter, lower fat dairy, less added meat in the veggies or no meat in them, or, have the lean cuts of meat available. And, try some, again, just reduced calorie, just small strategies. Slow down and eat. So enjoy the food, enjoy the company, enjoy the people, enjoy the games around you. Savor everything of all parts of the meal. Use the plate. Think about portioning with half your plate non-starchy vegetables, and then the other half of your plate for protein and your starchy foods. If you go back for seconds, what's your strategy there? And again, there are lots of different ways that you can do this because this is your plan. And again, I've mentioned activity, and keep it in perspective too. I think, have a healthy perspective. Don't beat yourself up, if you don't meet goals that maybe you set during this time of year. Simply adjust, and modify when you need to. Again, and ask for support, and find somebody that you can, and maybe it's not a family member that's in the house with you. You can have a text buddy. I've had lots of patients do really well with staying on track over the holidays by finding a text buddy. So maybe I've had a class of 8 or 10 people, and people buddy up, and so they just send that brief message. It was a struggle to not have that caramel cake, but I didn't have it, or I did have a little piece of fudge, but and then I went out with the kids, the grandkids, walking. So if you have somebody that you can be a text partner with, or somebody that you can talk to just on the phone about your goals, and even ahead of time, and what your plan is and what you'd like to do, and they can support you in doing that, because it is difficult and we all want to enjoy ourselves. So enjoy yourself in moderation. And and another thing I think too is if you're going to somebody else's house or you go to family, sometimes hosts are offended if you say no, or if you don't want something, or if you're not eating as much as they think that you should. So I think it's becoming comfortable with being able to say no, thank you, or this is really delicious, but I'm full and I'm going to stop now. So being able to say no and keep those boundaries for your health is important. And just sharing that you have a plan right now that you're working on, because January's coming, and it can be very stressful for a lot of people after the holidays, when they get on the scale or they go to the doctor and they get their new blood work, or they're not really feeling well because of holiday eating. So again, it can be a tricky trap. It can be a slippery slope, but if you put some time in and kind of problem solve, what are your areas? What are you going to do different? What happened last time? And what can you do different this time to be successful, to maintain health over the holidays? And as you think about that, there's a way that you can set a smart goal, start thinking about it. And another thing that you might want to do now, maybe for this next week, think about keeping a food record or a little bit of a food diary. And it doesn't have to be every day, to assess where you are now. And we can talk a little bit about keeping food records and what you look for, or even maybe there's an app that you like to use just to kind of track how you're doing right now at this point for a couple of days, to see, how are you doing with your vegetables? How are you doing with sweets? How are you doing with getting enough water, or with enough lean protein with your vegetables? What does your eating look like now? Because if you can figure that out now, then you'll go into the holidays doing even better. So these are kind of some tips for healthy holiday eating as we move into that season of the holiday. And on next Tuesday, we'll talk a little bit more about ways to maintain health over the holidays. So for now, this is Viola Holmes, your dietitian, with Nutrition Nuggets for this evening. Thank you for joining, and God bless until next time. Thank you.